can you just introduce yourself, like the name, who you are, but also who you are in the context of here?
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Yi Jun. I'm the owner and co-founder of No Sleep Club. So No Sleep Club is disguised a little bit as a neighborhood bar, but we use a lot of modern techniques in cocktails and food. No Sleep Club, the term, I actually found it in a coffee cup, which I thought was the funniest thing ever. And if it cracked me up so much, I thought that if people saw it in a space that was open in the day and in the night, they would have the same, amusement as well. And that's what I really want to bring to people. When I looked up No Sleep Club, there were two types of people that relate themselves to the term no sleep. So one of them was, of course, the hustlers, the entrepreneurs. And there was another meaning in the Urban Dictionary, which was a group of people who took so much meth that they couldn't sleep for days. And I thought that was like the funniest dichotomy, and it was so accurate to what I wanted to do. Not drug in the literal sense, but this, we are pushing, I guess, the last legal drug and people to have fun and be happy, and that's how the name stuck. No Sleep Club first originated in a 4-seat bar. It was actually shared between a friend and I. She left the job as a lawyer to open a coffee shop. She was kind enough to rent me her space after she was done. That was such a great opportunity for me to start out with, not a lot of capital. And the word No Sleep Club makes sense for a business that was all day. It also makes sense as a business owner to have one rent and use the space as much as you can. I had an opportunity for a bigger space, borrowed some money. At that time, I roped in my partner, Hutch, and we decided that as a team we could really open something, and that's how we moved into this space here now on Keong-Saik Road. It was difficult for me to have a concept because I guess creatively, if there was a concept that was available, to me it was already done. I didn't need it to be incredibly amazing. I just wanted to be a little bit different. What I really wanted was to model the space as my home, a place where people can come in as though they're coming into my living room, and just to have a good time. I think it took me 3 months, 1 month to 3 months from the idea to actually getting the keys to the space. Every moment during this period, I questioned why I was doing it. There were a lot of unexpected things that happened. The most crucial one was I didn't realize that we didn't have a drainage in the space. So we actually raised the floors just to put in the pipeline and to add in 2 external pumps. And to this date, it still gives us a bit of water issues, but you just have to go with it. No matter how you want something in your mind, the people that are executing it, they may do it differently from what you want. There are times where you either have to compromise or you have to pay a lot more out of your budget to get what you want. So when I was in the tiny space, everything was so easy because, you could afford to fix things or afford to do things the way you want. And when you have a bigger space and it's a real business now, there's real money in it. It's hard because you think of how much you put in and whether you can get it back. It becomes bigger than yourself, and it was tough. And because there are times where you feel that you can't do it, and then what do? You just have to push your own limits and depend very much on your team. My team size has varied. We started with 9 members, 3 in the kitchen, 2 managers, 3 bartenders and 1 barista. But at that time, we opened from 7:30 in the morning. So we were open all day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. That was 3 months before COVID. COVID hit and we didn't have as many part-timers. Of course, some of the full-timers left as well. We were a very lean team, about 4 or 5 of us. Only recently now I have a full team again. There are now currently 8 of us. I think the difference between independent operators and big corporations, I have more face time with my team individually. And I've worked for people before and I felt really small in a big place. I think to be able to be seen or have your work recognized, maybe in independent bars, there's a lot more visibility, a lot more chance for me to see what someone is good at and then work on that rather than put them in a position where they may not shine. Me being in operations, it also allows me to make changes quicker and more directly. Whereas if I was taking care of a bigger team or bigger operation, I may not have time to address something as quickly. I haven't run a big operation yet, so I don't know. But yeah, I like being able to be close to my team. That's really important to me. I have a conflict between the bartender side and the bar owner side all the time. Because as a bartender, I really just want to be here behind the bar, make drinks, and that's really my priority sometimes. But as a bar owner, there's so many other things you have to take care of. Sometimes you end up hours behind a computer when you really want to be behind the bar or in front of the guests. I think the most important people I had to find was, it doesn't make complete sense, but people I trust in terms of having a finance person or accounts person. I think that I could learn it or I could outsource it. These people you can use money to pay to find, but people that you trust that is within your team, that was the most important to me. Because if you trust somebody, you have a good relationship, we can find these things together and we can do it together and it makes things that much easier. When we hire, I do prefer people with less experience, mainly because we do things really differently from other bars and it might actually hurt them if they come in with experience from a bar that's really different from us, because you have to change those habits. Whereas people with less experience, or maybe they have F&B experience, but it's from a cafe or from a smaller restaurant, those people actually became the most important part of my team because they're more dedicated and more hardworking. It's easier for them to learn and it's worked really well for me in the past. I believe that everyone outside of my circle has something to teach you, and I tell my team that all the time. I used to work in a members club, and I met an amazing group of people that had amazing, successful businesses in their 20s, in their 30s, and I was lucky to be really close friends with some of them. That's what actually pushed me to have the confidence to do a business on my own, because owning a business has so much. You need a lot of capital, there's a lot of risk, staffing is hard, so no one really does it. My advice for anyone who wants to open their own bar, I think, don't overthink it. I think we live in a time where you can do pretty much anything, even if it's an online business like a Shopify or whatever. You'll be surprised at what you can do with little or no money, even if it's a small thing, or be present online and start there. If you want to do something, I think you have to make small steps, because I used to overthink it and then I never did anything. In Singapore, at least, there are so many different bars that it was actually really easy for a bar that's different to enter and be welcomed into the community. If you go and find out how to do it and what ways to get there, it'll be less scary. If you don't do it and you don't try, then nothing's going to happen. And find out how and just make steps to get there. I think it is definitely important to have a business understanding. Not that I had a lot when I started. I think my business understanding was limited to a lot of episodes of Shark Tank, which I think actually helps. But there's so much you have to learn on site. And I think even if I had like the business degree or something, it would help me, but it may not prepare me to tackle the stuff that I still had to tackle within my own business. Some people don't really tell you that, because when you have a successful business, people cheer you on or whatever, but they don't really tell you how they got there or how tough it was. I wish I was more prepared for that part of it. But otherwise, I think every day I'm not prepared for something. Every day the business or life throws me something, and I think just running with it has been like our philosophy, I guess. When we get feedback, be it reviews or at the beginning, it did affect me because you put in so much work and do something for somebody, and when someone rejects it, that is a personal rejection. But after a while, if you want to do something different, if you're trying to be creative, there will always be a group of people who won't like it. To me, if there are 3 people who really love it, then I'm just gonna I'll just learn to ignore the people that don't. But if there is a reason that I can take constructively, then we'll work on it. We'll always try and make sure we recognize the effort first before we address the issue, if it's an issue that needs to be addressed. But otherwise, yeah, we know there are people that want to complain anyway in Singapore. I just feel lucky if they even know about us to be able to talk bad about us, so we'll just laugh about it mostly. We believe that if you give the best service, people should leave happy. I think one thing that we really feel proud of is during COVID, we had to rely on our regular customers because there's no tourists coming in, and there's so many places that people could go, and there's not a lot that we could offer. So we had to work really hard to keep our regulars regular. We actually have made a really close group of friends that, almost like family, or people that call this place a home away from home, and that was my biggest accomplishment, I think. So yeah, I am really proud of that. How do I measure success? When my team is happy, number one. I can pay the rent, I can pay the bills. Of course, recognition from my peers, recognition from my mentors. You don't know how well you're doing until someone else tells you who you respect, or someone who's doing the same thing as you. That is a personal success for me.